Every country has stories that go untold, stories of people, communities, and brands, and even the cracks in our system. Today's brand is more than just a media channel. It's a space that humanizes voices often overlooked, while also spotlighting pressing issues, important alerts, and news that matter to Australians today. So, welcome to the sixth video of the series 100 Days, 100 Brands, 100 Stories. There are thousands of brilliant brands out there constantly changing the world, and this is one of them. Today, we're going to learn about a humanizing brand led by an inspiring woman and their inspiring story. So, I'm here with Sara. She is the founder of the brand Humans of Australia. So, Sara, welcome to the series. I really appreciate your time. But before we begin the podcast, let me introduce you to Sara, what she does. So, born and raised in India, Sara began her career in digital marketing before moving to Australia. She pursued her education at the University of Melbourne, completing a master's in management, specializing in marketing, and honing her expertise in social media management and digital marketing. Since then, Sara has worn many hats from building community initiatives to working with established organizations. In October 2022, she founded Humans of Australia, the brand for the shoot today, dedicated to humanizing people, brands, and businesses. Today, alongside running Humans of Australia, Sara is recognized as a storyteller, a leader, and a change maker who is passionate about amplifying voices and bridging real stories to the forefront. Sara, thanks for joining, and I'll start with the first question.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Param. I'm just going to say that was a very elaborate, that was the best someone has explained me, and I feel so humbled. So thank you so much. I am trying my best. But yeah, go for your question.
So please tell the audience about your brand, Humans of Australia. What does it do?
Yeah, for sure. You explained it really well, to be honest. So, but I can just say it in just what we do. We humanize and give visibility to people, places, brands of Australia through storytelling, street interviews, podcasts. We give back to the community by events. I've been an international student, and I'm a permanent resident. I've seen a lot of issues. So we were like, and now as Humans of Australia, we have a voice as a channel. And I was like, if you're doing something, I want to create an impact. So that's how events came. Our event is social impact based. And we also talk about the issues related to Australia by sharing news and talking about them very openly. Our goal is simple: humanizing everything, be it the opinions of people in Australia through street interviews, by sharing stories of people or brands, because people relate to people rather than a logo or a brand. That's what we always say. And even if you see influencers these days, if any influencer, if they don't sell brands, they talk about their story, their experiences, and that's how you connect. There's so much content that you don't want to. And I feel a lot of legacy media brands, they're very focused on the traditional ways that they've always gone about. Obviously, they are on the digital space and everything, but the newer generation, which is the millennial and the Gen Zs, that's what we cater to. Our audience is them, and we're a digital media channel for the new age of Australia and the multicultural people. I feel lots of multicultural people are also not represented. We represent Australians and we represent multicultural people. So we give a voice to both.
And Australia is very much diverse. It is.
It is.
True.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to start this page? You started in 2022 October, right? So
Yeah.
What inspired you, and was there a defining moment or story that made you decide that this is why I want to start this? So
that's a great question. I started in 2022. It was just a passion project. And why I started is because when I came to Australia as an international student, before coming, I had watched movies and I had watched TV shows. And, you watch all of this in life abroad is glorified. And Australia is a Western country. So I thought it's going to be that glorified. It's going to be cool and fun. It is amazing. It's the most beautiful life and it's taught me so much. But there's a lot of struggle that no one talks about. And I was like, that is missing the human element, the struggle. You go on LinkedIn, you go on Instagram, people are either partying or traveling or having the best experiences. And LinkedIn, people are getting promoted or they're getting a job or starting a business. But how did you get to doing those things is my question that I had. And I was talking to people and everyone had the same questions. Even the simplest of things is what I'd say for the younger audience is I had friends, they're Aussie friends, locals. They were studying law, and I know this is very naive, but you're 16 when you make a decision what you have to do with the rest of your life. They took law because they watched the series Suits.
Oh,
And
right.
but being a lawyer is not like suits, which obviously you realize over time, but no one tells you this. You everything is glorified. So I was like, you know what, there needs to be a space. We started off as a space where we just share stories of people. And when I say share stories of people, we share their life journey, where they came from, what why they chose what they chose, and how their life has been shaped and what's there for the future. Be it immigrants, be it local Aussies, everyone, I believe every person has a story to share and a story to tell, because everyone's experiences are so different. So that's what motivated me, and what made me realize that I was doing the right thing is, to be honest, my first story. And why I would say the first story, because there's this woman that I was working with. She was the company that I was working with. She was head of compliance. She was doing her PhD at UNSW. She was a mom of two kids. But if I ever reached out to her for help, she always had the time, and she had the best smiling face. And I don't know how she created time. Anything, you're like, hey, can you be a speaker here? She's like, sure. When do you want me to be there? I'm like, how is this woman managing? So I always looked up to her as a role model. Then I reached out to her when I was starting Humans, and I was like, hey, you know what, I'm starting something like this. Would you like to share a story? So she agreed. And when I got to know her story, what the backstory is, it was totally different. The struggle, the immense struggle that she faced, managing a PhD, kids, getting that education from the background that she's come from. I was like, wow, that I think I'm doing this for the right reasons, because people need to know, and I believe people need a ray of hope. And she was that one person. So that's how my journey started.
Actually, stories do connect people, and but there's this one philosophical question I have. There's this saying that if you have, let's say, a old memory, and if you see something that is new, like you listen to the story, that's like something new that is actually contradicting your old memory. So how can those people try those new experiences, or maybe follow the steps of those person, like,
What do you mean?
as in, it's because, let's say, the story is inspiring you, but you're
Yeah.
not sure how to go into that direction. For example, one who wants to become an influencer, let's say, if I want to become an influencer, and let's say if I see your story, but my old memory says that you are not that much confident, or it's a bit. So how to get inspired, and how to move in that direction?
So I think that's where stories come into play. Each person starts very underconfident. I wouldn't say, if you go to see any thought leader or an influencer or a CEO or a founder, they had an idea. And I'm so sure day one, it's very few people day one that they, got all their success. I think Apple started in a garage.
Yeah.
So I'm so sure he had the confidence in his idea, but to make it into what it is today is not how it happens. Even any influencer or a thought leader that you see, you learn from mistakes. And what happens with these stories is that if you get to know that such a big person also struggled and is going, and we share the rough patches as well. We don't glorify anything. It's exactly the people, their words, anything. And once you see those rough patches to where they've come, you're like, you know what, maybe I also feel that way. And I could be there because this person is there. Also, what lots of people do is, once they read a story, they're like, you know what, I relate to this person. They just message that person. They're like, hey, can I catch up for coffee?
Correct.
They get that mentorship. But if I had not shared that story on Humans, you would never know that that person also struggled with the same issues that you are struggling with. And personally, this is me personally, if I have to reach out to a big person and I'm like, shit, you know what, I'm really underconfident. I don't know what to do. I'm so small. This person is way too big. But if I got to know the story that they also started from just like $10 and they had nothing in their hand or whatever it is, I can message them that, you know what, I'm in a similar boat. I would love to have a coffee and just pick your brain up. That's how things happen. You get to know, you connect on a human level. If that answers your question, I don't know.
That does, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Your Instagram profile reads humanizing people, brands, and businesses. So why do you think it's important to humanize them, and how do you think people would respond to that, and when they see that side?
I think people are responding to the side very organically because we create organic content. We never, even if we promote a business or a brand, we never say this is the best business or this is the best brand. We share the story of what they are. It's like a video media release, but
Right.
through storytelling. And we never say this is the best, for example, it's a sunscreen, okay? We never say this is the best sunscreen, you will never get cancer. We just share who they are, what they are, what the benefits are, but through storytelling, so you can relate to it, and we let people decide. These days, there's so much content, and there was a time where you could tell people, you know what, this is the best sunscreen, use it, or this is the best mic, you should use it. But now people want experiential things. If they don't experience, they're like, fine, next. They just this
Yeah.
is there's like the scroll era. You don't like it, next. You don't like it, next. But if you find something that's relatable, you might yet listen to it. You're like, okay, fine, maybe what I am facing that. I should use it, or maybe try it, or maybe this person is saying it, and I'm facing something similar. It's all about relatability, and that only comes through humanizing. If a
True.
brand talks, no one's going to listen to a brand saying it. These days there are roles that come on LinkedIn, which is head of content just for the CEO. So they hire someone just to make content
For
for
the
the
CEO
CEO.
as a personal brand
Yeah,
organizer.
for the CEO, because even Instagram CEO goes around the world traveling and meeting people in person and doing events and capturing it, telling updates about people personally. He's the CEO of Instagram. He does not need to do all of this.
True.
Like, he's such a big brand, people are anyway on it. But if he doesn't leverage the benefit out of what he's built, then people are now gonna use it. There are so many competitors out there. Also, take Nike as a brand. Nike is about shoes. Nike is about sports clothes and sportswear, but it uses aspirational people, humans basically, so that you can connect. It's like Serena Williams playing tennis. You're like, I also want to be Serena Williams. Maybe I wear those shoes. You get that confidence that I can be Serena Williams. But Nike is just selling it. It's like marketing, but they've sold the idea of being aspirational. So humans is what humans connect to, and big brands have been playing off it already, and now people also are realizing it.
And I think also the testimonials when we see online, like people trying the products, showing their experiences, it also does sell a lot. As in, people do buy that because they believe in relatability, as you said, and how do other people react. And even the customer reviews on Amazon, let's say we have. So we always cross check that, see how people are reacting to it, the experience, what was the experience, and then only they make that consideration to
100%.
buy a product. Yeah.
Like, if you think about, for example, earlier people used to be like, oh, you know what, I use this. If I'm talking about makeup influencers, they used to be like, you know what, I use this, what do you call, I'm trying to think, foundation, for example.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you know what, I use this foundation, it's the best for my skin, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't, you should buy it. Now they don't do that. They just create get ready with me videos where they're like, oh my God, I'm using this foundation since when I've started using. Before they put a picture where I have a lot of acne, but you know what, this really suits my skin. I had an oily type skin. So they're actually selling the product, but they're sharing their personal story. But they're not telling you to buy it and this is the best for you.
True.
They're like, you know what, it really suits my oily skin. And if you are oily skin, you should also try it. It really suited me. It could suit you as well. Another biggest example is lots of places get influencers to travel to that location. Influencers share their experience of
Experience.
traveling. Experience is what sells. Someone studying at UNSW, for example, or Macquarie or University of Melbourne, if I see a student who is studying there and they've created like a video of it, or it's talking about their life, I'm like, you know what, I aspire to have that experience, rather than these universities be like, oh, get the best education, we rank 10th in the world or first in the world. I don't care
But what's really inside it? Yeah.
what's really inside it. Like, if I see a person like me, I can relate, which would be more connecting, and that's what humanizing.
True.
Rather than these universities are like, oh, you know what, first in the world. But then what is it based off? And there's so many questions. And I feel consumers these days, or viewers these days, have become so much more smarter. They just don't believe, like you say, we're number one. Number one and what? So what? What can you do for me?
They ask for more justification or more clarity, more
they
details.
they don't care anymore about these things. They care about their experiences. I feel as generations are going ahead, they're like, what is in it for me has become the thing more than anything else. Unless it's like a really crazy thing, but most people are asking what's in it for me.
That's true, and that's why I think substitution is happening. A lot of brands are coming into picture, so people are substituting the brands that they have been trying since years to a new brand, which is actually bringing a new solution for them, a new.
Exactly.
So yeah,
It really matters. Like there are so many coffee brands, but have you heard of, I think, what's her name, Evelyn Chamberlain or some Chamberlain? What happened is she's been an influencer who was talking about coffee since years and making vlogs or things like that. She was talking about experiences something, and then after 10 years, she released her coffee brand, and it sold out because she was talking about coffee. People were like, you know what, she knows her coffee. She released her coffee. I want it. It was sold out in minutes because you relate to people. Everyone's like, oh, you know what? She knows her coffee. What she's selling would be good. And she's become like this really amazing coffee brand now.
based in US.
Yes, based in US.
Nice.
Kylie Jenner sells off, Rihanna, all these actors and big people, why are they becoming the face of a brand? Because they've realized that they can sell off. If I want to use something that Rihanna uses, that is so cool.
True.
So it is all that relatability. Air Jordans. Oh my God, these are Jordans. They're the most uncomfortable shoes, but I bought it out of the hype that they are Jordans, and I wore them once or twice, and I'm like, it's a waste of money. But it was the hype in the middle where every person that you saw, at least in Melbourne, every second person was wearing Jordans.
And I think this would also be in the future as well. Even after AI would boom and everything would be there, but this would still remain the human part of the
Agreed.
storytelling and everything.
100%. Like AI can come, maybe it creates a clone of me, but it needs me as a person to
To
create
create
that.
things, yeah.
It
It's some
can't have its own, it can have its own face, but it has to be a human face.
human face.
So humans sell, and people connect with humans.
That's true.
Yeah.
A platform also takes on the role of highlighting issues in the system. So I've seen the news alerts and some new laws that has been passed. So how do you decide which issues to bring forward, and what impact have you seen by raising them? As in, have people, what is the positive and negative reactions of the people, like how do you deal with that?
I think July is when we started sharing news related to Australia, because I felt I'm a millennial Gen Z person, and I do want to know news, but I'm not going to sit and Google news. And even if like I just read headlines, and I was like, how can people stay updated with things? This is how we came up. I'm like, that's the main reasoning. We want to bring what is going on with Australia. So many people don't even know what's going on here and there. Something massive happens, that's when you see it on Reels or, TikTok. That's when you scroll through and you get to know. I was like, you know what? People are scrolling and getting to know that information. I want to give them the right information. So that's how the news aspect came, and talking about the issues aspect came to Humans of Australia. And I believe every news article or issue affects the human of Australia, and that's how it aligns with Humans of Australia. And we're very purpose driven. So this is a purpose that we want to solve. We want people to have the right news, and this is for, as I mentioned, it's for the younger generations of Australia, which doesn't matter where you're from, and millennials and Gen Z especially. They don't have time in life, but they have time to scroll through social media if you're going to see. And if I, as a channel, can give what they want just as a headline, they are at least educated with what is going on. Yeah, and we go off based what is actually there, what's the right information that we can get and we can provide. We keep it very short and sweet. They're just carousels, first pages, headlines, what has happened or what it means, or how it affect or why it happened. Very simple, short and sweet. So people are also updated with what's happening in their country that they're living in, and otherwise, how are they going to know anything?
Right.
That's the basic, and we try to go off what is going on currently.
In a space where media can often feel biased or distant, your content connects deeply with people, also sharing stories and relatability. So how do you keep your platform authentic and relatable?
As I mentioned earlier, we don't promote. We strictly have a thing. Even if we have branded content, it is very, very clear to us that we will never say this is the best for you, choose it. We will talk about the brand, and that's how the authenticity comes from it. There have been times when I've spoken to people and shared that, they've agreed to pay, and they've agreed to pay double the amount, but I'm like, listen, I can't talk about it. A, because it doesn't align with our values. If it doesn't feel authentic and we're too promoty and salesy, I say no to a deal. Doesn't matter whatever it is. It needs to align with the values of having a story story we create, so it doesn't have to have a story, but needs to be authentic, needs to not sell. And if you push me to sell, that's not what humans is all about.
It's all about true.
Yeah. So I think each person is realizing the importance of it, and they trust the value that we bring, so they let us do what we do the best.
Okay.
And we create it from that way. So people just need to come to us. We do the story writing, the script writing, we produce the content, we do the direction, we do the post production, everything, and then we have a channel with over 20,000 community that we have, and our monthly reach is about 2.4 million in viewership. So we're getting you the eyeballs and we're giving you the value that you're getting.
So could you take us through like the content that you guys are like, as in you said that there's a story that you actually share about an individual.
Yeah.
So apart from that, like, could you take us through what content segments we have for?
100%. So one thing is storytelling that we focus on. I always say people don't have time to read as much anymore. People are scrollers these days. Max they'll read is on Chat GPT.
Correct.
I don't remember reading as such, though it sucks, but obviously I read for research purposes. So one we have is the video media releases that we do. But we also write an article for people so that it is used for SEO purposes or Chat GPT purposes. So we tell stories of people, of businesses and brands. Business and brands are like, oh, why do we have our own marketing team? You do have your own marketing team, but what humans bring is the value of the storytelling that we do and the community, the strong community that we have, and the eyeballs that we bring to you. Our production style, all of those things. They go to big news channels. Big news channels are going to give you a 2-minute segment or whatever, and it's going to get lost in their thing. But we spend a lot more hours and we create a video media release for you, which can be used for so much longer time. And it's like a evergreen piece that you would call it. So that's how that started. That is one main aspect, video media releases. Second is street interviews. Why street interviews started was because I felt I wanted the opinions of common people about a lot of things going on, like maybe basic, it's just very easy stupid things also, like, you know, where do you like to eat, what is how do you feel after a breakup, or, you know, a message to your ex. But these are the opinions of the common man, and it is something that most people relate to, it's easy to connect to, and we're trying to bring the common people, give them a stage as well. Everyone does not want to share their story, but everyone does have an opinion to share. That's how street interviews started, bringing in real, raw, authentic. None of our street interviews are staged. I've never staged a street interview. We literally go up to people. We've got so many rejections, no idea. Now we've shot over 100 with street interviews. Then we have podcasts. Very similar to you, our goal is to share the stories of people, why they're doing what they're doing in a more elaborate format, where we talk about it in depth, and people want to hear from these people. These are thought leaders, these are people who are change makers, or they're creating an impact in the Australian ecosystem. So that's how these three are our major things. Then we have news and issues. Lots of brands also invest in this. So how it works is, for them, they're supporting a cause or a news. For example, a real estate company, we share real estate news as well. So that is powered by them. You know, maybe this is the best market, or maybe it's a fintech company. They want people to get the news about the Australian ecosystem. Could be Manta, if you're listening, sponsor us, or whatever. But lots of these big companies, they want to connect with the people. How do they connect? Is through these news articles that we share. We share news articles in their segment, and that's powered by them. Main thing is that we need to align their goals, and our values need to align. If they don't, then we don't do it.
Makes sense.
It can't be for personal benefit. It needs to be for benefit for both. Benefit for both, as in benefit that leads to the people. Correct. And it aligns with our values. Value is one thing that I've always stuck about, and our value is authenticity and real and not promoting. That is a simple value and purpose-driven value. That's it, what we have. Then last, as I mentioned earlier, we do events to give back to the community. My goal was, if I could ever give back to the community, I would want to give back. I've been an international student. I have found a job as an international student, and I have been a temporary resident, permanent resident, all of these things. I've quit a job. I have been made redundant. I've experienced all of those things. So I know the job market is so tough. So that's how we started with Humans Who Hire. So we bring in panelists who are currently hiring, so people can meet in real life. Where do you meet them? You meet them on LinkedIn, or you meet one-on-one, like, and it's not necessary people would reply to you. So I was like, you know what? This is my way of giving back. I have a voice. I have people who do want to attend this. And I know people, panelists who are currently hiring. What if I bring candidates to them? And to candidates, I bring people who are hiring. And I don't make money off it or anything. I spend money from my pocket mostly. But I was like, you know what? It's fine. It is for people, the community of Australia, that I can give back. So that's the bilaterals that we have.
Okay. So you mentioned that you do moving in a direction that's more like towards a good cause.
Yep.
So do you wish to like continue this for the rest, or you have as in for the rest of your life, or how do you see it? Like how do you see the bigger picture?
So for my one thing is simple. I want to create impact, and I want to be purpose driven impact. My
Okay.
purpose is to do create human centric. Anything that I create should be human centric and for the people. Because as a person who's such a doom scroller, I know how much social media can affect you. But if I can use that social media channel in the best way, so that's a very digital media channel present of social channels. So if I can bring the best bits to you, that's what we're going to do. And we want to create impact and talk about every person, every issue, every business or brand that is also follows and trying to create an impact in the Australian ecosystem. So I just want to amplify that scale.
Okay, and because there's a lot of bombarding of content out there on social media, so how do you make people stick to your content? As in, definitely stories do connect, but with a lot of you have a lot of less attention time when it comes to social media. So how do you aim to figure that out? Like as in, because maintaining those retention space, also getting new audience, reaching out to new audience.
I think if you share value, like good content and value driven content, when I say value, isn't value for the person, not for me, but value for the person, you get that retention rate. And it is about obviously understanding social media. If I'm creating a video, my main goal is the first few seconds. If I can say what a viewer is thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and to be honest, I look at Humans of Australia from the lens of a viewer, even though I'm the CEO and the founder of it, but I try to put myself out there and I try to look at it from that perspective so I can give what they want rather than producing what Humans of Australia should produce.
Correct.
So that is what I try to do. And I would say, I think off lately, we're just like growing drastically. And that is very, I feel blessed. I feel grateful that all our effort is being channelized in the right way.
And I've seen the content and I love the content.
Thank you so much.
Is there one story or moment shared on your page, like maybe recently or in the last year or this year, that has stayed with you? Something that truly defines why you started Humans of Australia?
I always say the first story. Obviously, it stayed with me because I knew that person personally, but getting to know their real story was a huge like difference to me. But there are multiple stories. Like sometimes when I talk how my story process works is, for example, if I had to share your story, I catch up with the person online, just having a chat over Google Meet. There have been times where people do not realize the impact that they have done or what they have done. They start crying, after the at the end of their story, and I'm like, what I'm doing actually affects not just the reader of the story, but whose story I'm sharing as well. There was this one person, we shared a story recently where she was pregnant and she got assaulted on the streets, like, physically assaulted.
Oh my God.
And this was in Adelaide, and she was just walking back home from the bus stop, and she didn't even realize, like, when she got home, that's when her husband found her, like saw her, and her nose was broken, teeth was broken, her eye was bruised. But being pregnant at that time, she was just worried about the kid, so she didn't realize any pain. And she was like, Sara, this is the first time I have publicly, and she publicly speaking about her story after 5 years of what it happened. She's like, I didn't have the confidence to talk about it, but I think your channel is where I can speak about it. So I felt really grateful in that moment where
Wow.
she trusted Humans of Australia as a channel to speak about this. But she also spoke about the good bits. I know that happened to her, but she's like, that's the only time in Australia that she's faced something like that. After that, she went to the hospital. The people in the hospital were amazing. Her workplace people were amazing. Though she was in a temporary residency, her workplace gave her paid maternity leave. Usually, paid maternity leave is the government's duty.
True.
So, if you're a temporary resident, you don't get government aid. Only
Correct.
permanent resident and citizens get it.
Correct.
But her company was so good, and they gave her the aid, which was not required. It's expense for the company. So she said that Australia, yes, she did face that, and that was really horrifying. And she was really scared to talk about it. Even to write a police complaint, She was just
hesitant
like
to do that.
very hesitant to do that. But she did that. And that was just like amazing to see that we people are trusting us so much that they can share their story with us. So I think these few moments they make a huge difference. And even when brands come up to us, they're like, "Hey, you know what, Sarah? I really resonate with your value. Can you share our story?" When we're able to translate their story into actually what they are in just 60 seconds, we don't do longer format. 60 seconds is max what we do because people don't have retention rate, as you were talking. And when we're able to translate it and the client loves it, people love to know more about it. I'm like, we've done our job right. And we've got community aware, our community aware that, you know what, these people exist. You should connect with them, you should be a part of them, or you should use them, or however we can value them, we do that.
It's so inspiring. And you said that the company, after they got to know her story, that lady's story, that's after that they gave her
So
the
that was not, it wasn't because of the accident that they gave
correct.
her. That company's values were so strong and they
Wow.
actually believed that, you know what, she's such a great employee. It wasn't because of the incident that happened with her. It was because she was a great employee. It was her work. And they were like, you know what, you're a great person. Because she spoke to a manager. She didn't plan to get pregnant, but it just happened. And her employer was like, you know what, don't worry. We will cover you. And that was not required by them, to be very honest. So it's
Correct.
not the incident. They were very understanding. They gave her a break and everything after that. But when, you know, in their last few months, when you need paid maternity leave, and once your child is born, you need maternity leave, that's when they gave us. So these two are not related, though they're the same company, but they were very understanding. And she's like, you know what, that one incident does not define my experience in Australia. Australia has only given me good, except that one
Incident.
incident that happened, though it was very intense. But yeah,
Very intense. Yeah.
yeah.
So how do you get to know such stories? Like people approach you, or you approach people, or how does it, like if someone has a story to share, like can they approach you personally, and how do you figure out which stories to put out on the platform, or
Yeah,
like
it's both ways, to be very honest. I also do reach out to people, like we as humans of Australia reach out to people, but people also reach out to
oh,
us.
nice, okay.
If they want to share their story, like, you know what, I really want to highlight my story, I'm like, yes, for sure. But also to make it very clear to the audience, we do charge a service fee for everything. Because
Okay,
why we charge a service fee? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my employees? And it's just a service fee for our time and effort.
that's it.
And
Yeah.
I think everyone deserves it. At
Makes
one
sense.
point of time, you need to be paying your bills. I'm so sure no one is working for free at UNSW or UniMelb or at Apple or Microsoft. They charge their service fees, same way we charge our service fees as well.
Okay.
But it's an open platform where we support everyone and everything. And our service fee to share someone's story is very, very nominal. That storytelling part of the thing, I have, like, that's a value that I'm going to keep, is it's going to be very nominally charged. So anyone and everyone can share their story and it doesn't feel heavy on anyone's pocket. Whereas the other aspects, it requires a lot of production. Yes, those might be a little more expensive, but we're a full production house who has a channel that we're doing, and we're giving you value.
That's true.
And we're inspiring people and we're giving people hope. And that's what we are,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. My next question. So, what role do you think media channels like yours can play in shaping conversations about culture, identity, and social change in Australia today?
I think media channels, what's happening is media channels need to have a voice. There needs to be some platform, basically, whoever it is. And if we're talking about media channels, they need to voice out what is going on in this country, so people of this country know the real facts.
Correct.
Rather than being right wing or left wing or supporting a particular cause or not supporting it, there needs to be a voice so people can hear what is actually going on from the back lens, kind of, if you want to say, because people don't have time and there's so much misinformation going around. And that's where I think any media channel comes in. They're there to provide the right information about maybe the right people, the right brands, or the right issues. And if you're not going to talk about it, this it'll be like, you know, some people who are voicing out, they're just going to be heard. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right. So I think that's where a role comes in.
And but let's say if you're sharing certain sensitive content that is about, let's say, any community or the government, for example. So, want to like there is definitely a risk factor in that.
100%.
So how do you deal with that? How do you prepare yourself for such challenges?
So we try from our end, from Humans of Australia perspective, we try to do our research. So we have to write facts. We have the links where we've got that information from, so that we are not in the chaos if anything goes wrong. Or it's all research based. Now
Correct.
it is a risk, 100%. Anything can happen. It can go left or it can go right. But I think we have to take a risk. If we don't voice it out, then we're not a good enough media channel that represent Australia as a country. Then
Correct. That. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and
trying our best.
yeah. Looking ahead, where do you see Humans of Australia growing? What's the bigger vision for the brand?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, I want to make sure with Humans of Australia, we as a brand represent the diverse Australia. That is my one goal. And to be known as the media channel, you want to know anything about Australia, any person, any brand, any business, any issue, you come to Humans of Australia and you get everything that you want. So that is my thing. And cater to the diverse audiences, the diverse businesses, the diverse issues, because everything needs a voice, and we are the people to give it a voice, because we humanize it and we share everything through storytelling and with facts and real things. So that's the bigger vision. Be a legacy media brand.
Okay.
That's the biggest vision is that we have. But and not losing our value of humanizing things.
That's true. That it takes, like as startups grow, they tend to lose value, but it's so much important to stick to values, and
yeah,
that's so true. And I have a last question.
Yeah.
So I ask this to every founder I meet, and so the question is that what's one thing that people don't see being a founder in the space? Because you shared your journey, that you're doing this for a good cause, and definitely there are a lot of struggles behind the screen.
100%.
What you put out content is there, but there are a lot of work, struggles, challenges you come across each day that people don't see. So what's that one thing that people don't see being a founder in that space? And my second part of the question is that if someone is listening this, just takes away one action from this conversation, so what would that be?
I think, as you mentioned, being a founder, there is massive struggle to make your name and space with whatever you're starting, be it anything, be it AI, be it tech, be it media, a product. It is a lot of struggle to get to the right audience and understanding your own value as well. There was, for the longest time, I never asked for money, because I was like, you know what, I can't ask for money. I shouldn't ask for money. What, are they going to pay me? But over time, I realized if you don't value yourself, you're going to be broke. You need to pay bills. And as much as good you want to do, you have some responsibilities that you have to do. And it's not just that, but you're also investing your time, right? If I was working for someone, they are paying me to create their stuff or to work for them, because I'm creating value for them. Likewise, when I'm creating a business, I didn't value ourselves enough. And I feel that does happen. There's this imposter syndrome that lots of founders or people in Australia do go through it, or they go through the tall poppy syndrome. All of these things happen a lot. And that's what happened with me for the longest time. But it is the struggle that every founder has to go through, I think. So at least I did. Does not mean every founder would go through it. And it takes time. But I feel right now, I know what the value is, what we bring, and when to say yes and no. You shouldn't say yes for everything, because otherwise you're not going to remain what you started as a brand. You're just going to be anything and everyone, whatever they produce, and you won't attract the right people. So that's what I'd say as a struggle, that as a founder, those could be a few things and what you could do. And if someone's listening to this, I'm just going to say that if you have an idea, or if you have something that you really, really want to do, doesn't have to be like impact or purpose driven, but if you have something that you want to bring to life, just do it. I would say, if you're not going to try, you don't know what is going to happen. Maybe it fails, or maybe it becomes crazy successful. Either ways, the learning is immense. I would say I worked 3.5, 4 years full time in Australia, and I worked 1 year on humans full time. What I've learned in this 1 year is way more than what I have learned in the 3.5, 4 years. I had great experience. I'm not saying that wasn't. But when you do something of your own, it is another feeling. and you are lost half of the time. At least for me, because I don't have an accounting, finance, or legal background. I'm a marketing background. And when I'm learning all of this, I'm like, shit, Sarah, I messed up this. But I learn, and it's okay to mess up and it's okay to fail. Imagine you had the guts to start your own business. If it kicked up, where would you be? And I believe there's no age to start a business. You could be in your 20s, you could be in your teens, you could be in your 30s or 40s, but if you don't give it a chance, you don't know what you're building for your future generations, for yourself, and maybe it's a regret. So don't regret, just do it, because it'll change your life, and maybe it changes other thousands and millions of people's lives. That's why
And if you never try, you never know.
exactly.
That's
And
it.
failing is okay, because humans are going to grow big, but in case it doesn't work out, it will work out. That is, I never say that it doesn't, but the learning that I've had, I'm so sure any company would want to hire me. It is the skill that I've got. I know how to run multiple things. I know how to manage teams across globally. I would say I know how to travel big, get client, do client acquisition, do all of these things. You get one person who has all these skills. I know people think that, oh, what if I fail? It'll look really bad. People will judge. Obviously, I'm scared about the same thing. But I'm also like, I don't care. My goal is simple. I'm going to make this big, and that's what the positive side of it. It's not easy. I know people are scared about it. But imagine the learning. And maybe start small. Work full time, do it on the side. But I personally, if you work full time and do it on the side, the amount of time that you give there is way lesser. Your energy is drained. If you can give your full time, just give it a go. Take 1 year of a gap. Doesn't work out, go back. You have your whole life to work till you
Experiment,
die.
yeah.
Just experiment. It's just a trial phase, and you're going to enjoy, you're going to learn something, if nothing. And you have to earn money and do a job all your life. So if not now, then when? That's it.
It takes a big heart to actually do what you're doing, Sarah. And I'm so glad that we did this today. So follow Humans of Australia, see the story they are creating, and thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much for having.
Thanks so much, Sarah.